So Kevin Smith, of course, has not stopped saying stupid stuff about the He-Man show, or I guess I should say about the Masters of the Universe show that is very absent of He-Man. And of course, the mainstream media and also the smaller media sites, the smaller journalism sites, are backing him up, calling us toxic man babies and all of the other buzzwords that they always use to get clicks and to piss people off. Let's check it out. If you are also tired of people like Kevin Smith ruining pop culture, ruining characters and shows like He-Man and Masters of the Universe, then please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I try to post multiple videos on this channel every single day. Let's get into the video. So like I said, Kevin Smith can't keep his mouth shut. It seems like every single day I come on here and talk about something stupid that Kevin Smith or one of his cast members has said in an interview. And like I said, the mainstream media and also the smaller journalism sites, which are way more hilarious to look at because their articles that they write are so outlandish. They are so stupid that you can't even, I don't even know a single person in this world, no matter how woke you are, no matter how pro agenda you are, no matter how much you are for people pushing the agendas in these shows, in Masters of the Universe and other Netflix properties and all the other Hollywood properties that are pushing these agendas, no matter how for that you are, there is no way that you can take stuff like this seriously. This article is from Auto Straddle. And it says, Sarah Michelle Gellar gaze up Masters of the Universe revelation, He-Man fanboys drown in own tears. And this article is written by Heather Hogan. Let's click on Heather Hogan's profile and see. Yeah, of course she looks like that. Of course that's what Heather Hogan looks like, and she's writing articles like that. She's written over 1,000 articles, and I guarantee you most of them have very similar headlines to this one. She gaze up Masters of the Universe revelation, and He-Man fanboys drown in own tears. I don't think anyone's drowning over here. I think, not really myself, but a lot of people out there are getting a lot of views off of this. A lot of people like Nerdrotic, Yellow Flash, all of them are getting so many views off of this because people are so mad at nobody's drowning in their own tears. Let's be real. No one out there is really looking at He-Man like people looked at Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. Whenever Luke Skywalker happened in The Last Jedi, a lot of people, probably were drowning in their own tears. A lot of people out there were very sad. They were very upset because one of their childhood heroes, if not their only childhood hero, got ruined. They did that character very dirty, and I'm not a huge sequel hater, but I can recognize that they did Luke Skywalker. They did that character very dirty, especially in The Last Jedi. A lot of people were very upset about that, but now we're not really that upset about the actual He-Man character being ruined or Masters of the Universe being ruined. This is a more big picture thing. This is something like Kevin Smith betraying us is a big picture thing. This is Kevin Smith lying to us, someone who's claimed to be part of the fans. He claimed to be a nerd. He claimed to be one of us, and he goes out there and he betrays us. He baits and switched us, and he knew what he was doing the whole time. He knew that this show had nothing to do with He-Man. He knew that this show was Teela's show and Andra's show, and that Andra would eventually become He-Man in part 2. We know that's going to happen. We know it's going to happen in the show. If she doesn't, the show is still going to focus on Teela and Evelyn and not He-Man. He's even said that himself, even though at the same time he's trying to bait and switch us again by saying that we're going to get a lot more He-Man in part 2 than we want. But Kevin Smith knew the entire time that he was lying for a year and a half. He knew what he was doing. He was baiting and switching us. He wasn't naive to the fact that this wasn't going to be He-Man's show. He wasn't naive to the fact that he was lying to us. He knew that if he didn't lie to us, that the diehard He-Man fans, that the people who truly care about He-Man and MOTU would not watch this show, because we're watching this show for one reason, and that is to see He-Man, Prince Adam do cool He-Man and Prince Adam stuff. That's it. That's the only reason why we're watching this show. But instead you bait and switch us, and now the backlash is coming, and you're saying stuff like He-Man fanboys drown in their own tears, and mainstream media outlets, smaller media outlets like this one, Auto Straddle, are coming to his defense and saying that, we're just toxic man babies, we're just toxic fanboys that don't actually care about this stuff. We just, hate women being in leading roles, when that's not the case. And what is before that? I'm not going to read this whole article because it's just a bunch of, it's a bunch of nonsense, but let's check out some of it. No matter the time, the day, the season, the obligations for me, if I hear in the distance the sound of fanboy tears, I will follow them to the very edges of the earth to claim my prize. Oh, there is always a prize. They sob in a heap. Our childhoods, our masculinity, virtue signaling, while review bombing whatever is before them. We didn't review bomb this, and if you check Rotten Tomatoes, I believe the reviews are still frozen on this. No one can leave reviews, I believe. Let me know in the comments if you can leave a review. I still can't leave a review if I try to. I never did in the first place, but I can't even do it if I try to. And the reviews have been frozen. I believe it was about 27% on Rotten Tomatoes, maybe even lower, maybe 25 or 23% on Rotten Tomatoes whenever they did get frozen. And now it's at like 37 or 38, maybe even 40% now on Rotten Tomatoes. So it got frozen and they bumped it up by 10 to 12%, maybe even more, maybe like 20%, but it got frozen and they bumped it up that much. There's no way this is being review bombed. I would actually argue that it's being the opposite of review bombed, and that people were giving honest reviews at first and it had a very bad score, and now it got frozen and they're bumping up the score, they're inflating the score. So I would say that that's probably the opposite of review bombing. Either way though, it's very fishy. And what is before them? Women, of course, women with armor, with lasers, with daggers, and swagger and shaved heads, women piloting the spaceships that line the walls of their boyhood boys only clubhouses, women busting ghosts, women overpowering big bads who destroyed cities under the watch of superheroic men, women with the other women and not a man in sight. They're always going to make this about women versus men. They're always going to do that because that's the only way that they have an argument. All we're saying is that we wanted to watch this show to see Prince Adam do cool He-Man stuff as He-Man. That's it. That's the only reason why we watch this show. And whenever we see Teela, or this version of Teela, I should say, it's just not that fun to watch. She's not a very likable character. None of them are really likable characters. She's not a likable character, and the show is about her. When we got baited in by Kevin Smith saying that this was a He-Man show, that is what we are mad about. Not the fact that Teela is the lead, not the fact that this is a woman-led show. We don't care about that. I mean, maybe some people out there do care about that. I'm sure some people are angry about that. But what we really wanted to see was just He-Man doing cool He-Man stuff, and we got baited and switched. But like I said, this isn't really fanboys drowning in their own tears. I think it's kind of Netflix drowning in theirs, because if you look at, or maybe Kevin Smith drowning in his own tears, because Kevin Smith's He-Man disappears from Netflix top 10, and this was posted on August 2nd. So this was less than 2 weeks after the show came out. It's already out of the Netflix top 10. Now, I said this in my past video when I talked about this, but I know that Netflix doesn't actually make their top 10 off of the shows that are being watched the most. I know it's not an automatic thing. It's not an automated thing within Netflix. Netflix manually chooses what shows are in their top 10. So I don't know if this was an effort to kind of calm down everyone with the He-Man situation. I don't know if this was because of all the backlash that Netflix took it out of their top 10, or if people just simply aren't watching the show anymore, so they decided to take it out of their top 10. For that reason, I don't know, but either way, this is a Netflix and Kevin Smith problem. This is not a fanboy problem. Kevin Smith and Netflix are going to feel this heat no matter how much they're going to come out and try to use reverse psychology like we're little kids or something and say that any publicity is bad publicity. And while that is true to an extent, in this situation for Kevin Smith's career, it is not true. Because think about it, Kevin Smith has crowdfunded, I believe, 2 different films at this point, where the entire budget of the film was crowdfunded. Do you think that Kevin Smith could ever do that again? Do you think that Clerks 3 will make any kind of money? The answer is no. Clerks 3 is going to be not boycotted, but I think that a lot of people just kind of lost interest in what Kevin Smith is going to do in the future of his career. And also, he hasn't tweeted about He-Man or Masters of the Universe in 10 straight days. Kevin Smith hasn't mentioned it in 10 straight days, but he does do interviews. He does do all of that stuff. He's been talking to the media outlets and saying some pretty stupid stuff, as well as his voice actors for the show. But if we look at other shows that have gone woke, or other movies that have gone woke, they definitely have gone broke. I'm not going to bring up all of them, but here is a few examples. If you look at Ghostbusters 2016, they made $229 million at the box office. That's simply because, you know, you can argue this all day, but I think that this is simply because of the name Ghostbusters in the title. If you look at the budget, 144 million, usually you can double that, maybe even a little bit more for marketing and all of that. So they lost money. And if you look at Charlie's Angels, another extreme example of going woke, their worldwide box office number was 73 million, their budget 48 million. So they lost a lot of money as well. And then the Black Widow stuff, Scarlett Johansson has gone as far as to sue Disney because of the Black Widow stuff, because of how hard Black Widow flopped. Yes, you can say it was an act of God. Yes, you can say it was because everything that happened in the world, everything that's going on in the world is the reason why it flopped. But let's be real. Black Widow was never going to do Marvel movie numbers. It was never going to live up to the Marvel name, because no one cares about a Black Widow movie in the first place. And then when you come out and market it saying that this is Marvel's Me Too movie and all of this stuff, and you act like Scarlett Johansson is the first woman of all time to ever star in a movie, it just makes people, it just alienates a certain group of people. It lets you know, like people like me, it lets us know that the movie is not made for me, that I shouldn't go watch this movie because it's not made for me. That's simply what it means, and that's kind of the vibe that I got from the He-Man show as well, that this show is just not made for me, so I'm not going to check out part 2. Now, I might watch part 2 simply because I want to talk about it on my YouTube channel. But for other people that are like me that don't have YouTube channels, there's no reason for them to watch part 2 at all. But let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. Let me know what you think about Sarah Michelle Gellar gaying up Masters of the Universe and fanboys drowning in their own tears and all of that stuff. What do you think about all these articles that are being written supporting Kevin Smith, backing him up, and what Kevin Smith has been saying as well? Let me know what you think about the whole situation. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, the link to that will be in the description as well. Thank you for watching the video. Hope to see you in the next one.